Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hello, welcome. Looks like quite a few people already logged in. I love that. It's waiting for me. Already have a comment here. Ashley says, excited about these cutie booties. Yes, booties, butts, behinds, derrieres. We're painting more of them today. If you've been following Artist Palette Durham region for maybe its entirety or the last few months. This is the third installment of the Butts series. So this is Woodland Butts we're going to paint today. If you're interested in painting some more cutie booties, we have Safari Butts that we posted in the summer. And then we have Barnyard Butts. I think that was posted just before school started. So after this video, you can go to our YouTube channel and find the other Butts series paintings that you can do on your own time. And this video and all our other videos will be available like forever. So we won't take those videos down. They'll be there for you to do whenever you have the time. So let's see here. We've got quite a few people logged in. Let me know in the chat, in the comments there. Have you done a painting with me before? Which one? Maybe another Butts painting. Let me know where you guys are from, or if there's maybe some kids painting along. How old are you guys? I'd love to hear from you. Anything you want to tell me, let me know in the chat, in the comments there. It is 1:01. We will get started in a moment. Let's just give people a few more minutes to log in, tune in. How's my lighting? I've got this light here. I can bring it a little closer. We will go over the supplies. And also, we are on a live video, but you are able to pause and set the playback back. So if you need to go grab something or need a little break, bathroom break, painting break, you can hit pause. No worries there. If I'm getting like a little ahead of you. Bev is in Ottawa. Hello, Bev. First time. Awesome. We are very beginner friendly here at Artist Palette Durham region. Julie, hi. Moose watercolors. Love it. Yeah, so we did bold bull moose. That was a fun one. Lots of bright colors, warm colors in that one. Julie's from St. Catharines. Welcome. Anetra in Montreal. Awesome. First time with me. Well, you're in good hands. All right. Yeah, chime in the chat anytime you have a question or comment or even a joke. Anything at all that you want to type, I can read that as we go. What time is it? 2 minutes after. We'll stall one more minute and see if more people log in. Donna is in chilly Maine. I have been to Maine. That would be pretty chilly. Maybe the coastal weather. Yeah, we have like a little bit of snow here I'm in London, Ontario. A little dusting of snow. Enough to make a snowball, but not enough to make a snowman. Welcome to Sherry. Grab yourself a little drink or a snack. This will probably be 2 hours, maybe a little under 2 hours to do the whole painting. Maybe a little under. We'll see how we go. All right, let's get started with, we'll do the supplies first, and then we'll get to the painting. So this is an acrylic painting. Did I mention my name is Chris? My name is Chris with Artist Palette Durham region. That's short for Kristen. I didn't introduce myself. I'm saying hi to all these people, but you don't know my name. All right, acrylic paint. This is my very fancy styrofoam container. Just a styrofoam container, and I've just got layers and layers of dried paint in here. But the colors I'm going to use today are my pretty standard basic colors: black and white, yellow, red, and a tiny bit of blue. Yeah, so if you have these five colors in your house, you could pretty much do any painting that we offer. Bit of black, bit more of the white, and then I've got yellow and red that'll help us make that kind of orangey deer. I've got a little bit of blue to help me make the grass. We really don't need a lot of blue. I suppose you could change the color of, say, the woods background to be like a sky blue. It doesn't have to be gray. And yeah, this is what I'm going to use. It's acrylic paint. If you're wondering like what brand we use, most of us use Start Acrylic. That's the brand name, Start. So that's what I have. I have some brushes. These are not fancy brushes at all. There's a good angle. There's a good angle. There they are. So kind of like a big, would you call that a 1 inch, a medium, and kind of a thinner one. These two are like flat brushes. I like to use flat brushes. They're very frayed and worn. They're well used and well loved. You could be using like round brushes would be okay. Filbert brushes. Maybe you have a fan brush that will help you make kind of thin, like the twigs and the grass would be good. Really any kind of brushes that you have lying around at home, you can do this painting with. So that's just what I'm going to use. Nothing fancy at all. I've got a cup of water. Use a junky cup because your cup's going to get stained eventually with paint. And then I have a rag, but you could use paper towel. That's fine, paper towel. A rag is more environmentally friendly. Pop on maybe some kind of smock or apron, junky t-shirt that already has paint on it so you don't ruin your clothes. I just use a bed sheet as my tablecloth. You could use an actual tablecloth or a plastic sheet. Protect your surface. You do need some kind of surface to paint on. So whether that's a canvas, I have this is 20 by 16. You could be using a smaller size. You could be using a square. It doesn't have to be rectangular. What if you have a lovely oval shaped canvas? You could do that. What if you have a like the cross section of a tree, a round from a tree trunk? Wouldn't this look amazing on that as maybe a gift for someone? There's also acrylic pads of paper, acrylic and oil paper pads that you can paint on instead of a canvas. Yeah, anything that you want to do this painting on. A rock, a flat piece of like slate. This would look amazing. And then I've got some easels here. Easels are absolutely optional. If I'm painting just like painting for myself on my own, I would be painting flat on the table surface. It's more sturdy, I think. This, sometimes shakes around a little bit. So easel is optional. Absolutely. I think that's all the supplies I have. If you need to like pause the live feed and go grab something, scurry off and get something, please do that and then return with us. Yeah, we will get started. So I'm going to pop this one over here. So we will try to have both of these in the frame together. So we can reference that one. I'll do my best to have both of them fully in view. Jessica is joining us from Thunder Bay. 10-year-old. Awesome. Your daughter is going to have a fun time painting these butts. My daughter's 11 and she loves all the butt paintings. I'm going to do a bit of a sketch first. So this sketch, you could do this in pencil. So if you have a pencil nearby and you want to sketch using your pencil first, you absolutely can. But I'm going to be doing my sketch with my thin brush and probably a little bit of gray paint to kind of mimic pencil color. But absolutely grab an actual pencil if that's something you prefer. Fix my easel here. Stay. Okay. I like to get my little brush wet. We're going to make a gray with black and white. So just get a little black, tiny bit of black, and maybe like some gray over here. We will be, adding gray, quite a bit of gray later. So it's okay if you make a bunch of gray now. I'm just going to make a little bit of gray for now. Black and white. Not too dark, not too light. I might make this particular gray a little darker so that the camera can see that. But if you want to make yours a little bit lighter, do that. A little bit lighter than the gray I'm using. Okay, that's kind of cute. A little bit, sometimes I add little drips of water just to thin it out. It will help me with fine lines, thin lines. If you have a paintbrush that's a little bit fraying and all splayed out, I like to I twist and turn my paintbrush bristles in the paint, twisting and turning, and that kind of helps it bring it back together. A little tip there. All right, we have a deer, we have a skunk, we have a raccoon, but there's so many woodland animals out there that you could add others. You can make maybe 4 animals across or 5. You could replace the skunk with, say, a red fox. You could replace the raccoon with maybe a large bunny. Anything you want, any animals you want. Instead of the deer bum, maybe you want a nice big grizzly bear bum. Up to you. Think about those things as you're starting your sketch. I'm going to start with my deer in the middle, and we're going to start maybe a few inches from the top. We're just doing the back of him, and then the tail will come up a little bit. So maybe about here. Make him nice and tall. Don't make him too small. Deers are quite larger than skunks and raccoons, so maybe we'll have his rump kind of like that, kind of like an arch. Bring that arch down. Deers are quite muscular animals. Give them a nice muscular rear end. And these lines could be very sketchy. They don't have to be solid lines. This is fine. And then we do want the, is that the thighs? The thighs of the deer, I guess. So maybe divide that rear into 2 thighs. Something like that. Thin, wispy lines is good here. And then like knobbly knees. He's got knobbly knees. So a good way to do knobbly knees is maybe just, you could do, what's that? Parentheses kind of shape for the knobbly knee. You know, the punctuation. Put some parentheses around that. Those are the knobbly knees. And then mostly just straight down after that. Pretty thin legs at the bottom. Down, 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 down. There will be a bit of a grass at the bottom. So maybe your hooves don't touch like the very, very bottom. So hooves, like the back of the hooves, there's like kind of a toe shape, V shape. So it doesn't go like straight across. I mean, it could if you want to do just hooves that are straight across. I do kind of a V-shaped dip on the hooves. That's a little wide. That's a big, fat, wide one. I'll probably slim it down as I paint it. They're messy. We're going to tidy those up as we do the actual painting. A little V shape for like that back toe shape. Okay, so that's a nice bum shape. And you can, if you feel like it needs to be a little bit rounder, a little chunkier, you can always just kind of add a little extra something on either side. If it's looking a little thin, give it a nice chunky booty. Sometimes I like to pick up my painting, hold it away from my body, and then judge. Do I need to maybe slim down an area, bulk up an area? Do I need to make the knees or the hoofs match a little bit? It should be sort of symmetrical as best you can. Let's add a tail. My tail seems to start a little low. I might start it a little higher than that one, but really anywhere in this kind of area. A nice bushy tail. What would you call that shape? Like a leaf shape? Shape of a leaf. Comes to a point. But yeah, very sketchy, very messy. Something like that. And we don't need to add, say, like the textural jaggediness of the tail yet. We're going to do that when we do like the actual black lines. So we don't need to sketch that. So my deer does have a head. You didn't notice the neck and the head coming down. Maybe he's having a little nibble of grass. You could add the head and neck if you want, or you could not have it. Maybe you want your neck and head like to be upright, so maybe you can have a hint of neck kind of going here, off the edge, off camera, off canvas. If you want the neck to be more, he's standing upright and not nibbling some grass. But we'll add that in. Now look at your deer. Let's say your deer is a little bit more to the right or a little bit more to the left. Put your head and neck on the side that has more room, let's say. So my deer, to me, looks like it's a little bit this way. So I might add my neck and head on the opposite side of my example. Just to show you, I'm going to have a long, thin neck coming down. What would you call the shape of his head? An upside down bowling pin shape. I don't know. A little smidgy. This is just like a simplified deer head. We're not going to add details like eyes and mouth on this deer head. Just a simplified, and then we'll have an ear. Let's have the ear coming. Like that. Again, the ear is kind of like the shape of a leaf, teardrop shape. That's like the snout of the deer. Yeah, and it's right up against his leg. There's not really a lot of room here, so it's just right there. Yeah, so that's optional if you don't want to have the head and neck showing. Doesn't have to be there. That's all for the deer. I mean, we don't have to sketch the dots. We don't need to do that. Let's get some other chunky butts in here. We've got a chunky skunk. So let's see. Let's go here. And use up the space you have. Don't just make a little teeny tiny skunk. We want a nice chunky skunk butt taking up a lot of this room that you have. Use up the room you have to make a beautiful full composition. Okay. So I do have kind of like a indent for the butt, just to emphasize his chunkiness. Yeah, thin, wispy, sketchy lines. And then I just have little stumps for legs. And then kind of the feet get covered by the grass a little bit, so I didn't really put a lot of detail down there. They're pretty chunky. I might thin that down a little. That looks a little wide. So maybe my new line will be here. Thin that down a little. So when I paint my background, I'll paint over like the lines I don't need. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to bother with feet. There's going to be grass right there. Tail-wise, make it as big and voluminous a skunk's tail as you like. It could curl over and kind of like a, what's his name? Pepe Le Pew. Pepe Le Pew with the cat that he's in love with. Like a, there's a skunk in Bambi. Model it after that skunk. How big a tail do I want? Maybe like this. Any size. I mean, this one's a little smaller. This one's a little bigger and kind of curling over. It's kind of cute. I have a skunk that lives in my backyard under my shed. His tail is probably about 90% white or even higher, maybe 95% white. It's a funny looking skunk. He just has a teeny little bit of black on his tail. There's so many different skunk tails out there. It could be like a double white stripe. You have double white. All right, so that one's pretty simple. We don't have to add, say, the white detail. Don't really have to add much more than that. That's it. That's it for that sketch. Raccoon. I'm going to do a raccoon. Similarly chunky butt. Where should he go? Maybe about here. Again, use up the space you have. Don't make a teeny tiny raccoon. Make a good sized raccoon. Make him even chunkier than the skunk. Because, you know, they'll eat anything. Ooh, that's a chunky butt. Again, I have a bit of an indent for butt cheeks, you know. That's a good size. Legs are equally kind of stumpy legs. Nothing fancy there. Sure. Grass is going to cover the feet area. And then that characteristic ringed tail. This is like a cartoon version, right? So I don't actually think raccoon tails are that voluminous. We're just kind of stylizing it. Let's go. I'm going to curve mine out a little bit this way. Any direction you want to have your tail going. Something like that. And then I will throw a few rings on it, stripes on it, and you can give it a little bit of a curve. If you give some of your lines a curve, you get the sense that it's a round object, like a 3D object. I mean, there's a line there. We could just follow that curve, actually. Like that. Stripies. They could be all the same width, or they could get a little narrower as you go towards the tip. Up to you. Something like that. Looks good. Do we need more sketch? I might sketch a few trees. We could sketch a few trees before we start filling them in. Let's do that. So I'm going to do birch trees with a gray background. You could do trees with brown bark. It doesn't have to be the white birch tree bark. It could be brown bark. Different shades of brown will look good. The background doesn't have to be gray. It could be maybe sky blue. Maybe you want to do sunset color background as an idea. Maybe it's nighttime in your forest and you want to do kind of a midnight blue, dark purple, and then stars dotted as an idea. You don't have to paint the exact painting that I'm doing. I'm inspiring you to go rogue. Lots of Lots of people go rogue, and I love those ones. Okay, I'm going to do some tree sketching still with gray. I'm going to lighten my gray a little bit. I'll lighten my gray a little, just so I don't have too much of this dark gray. Maybe if I need to cover it up with some white birch trees, I'm just going to use a lighter gray. These birch trees could be any number, any positions, any thickness, thinness, any amount of birch trees. So let's just lightly, any width. I'm going to start with a series of just kind of straight up and down lines. Any amount. And we'll add some branches too. And they don't all have to be straight. What if you have a tree that's falling over? There's some trees. What if this next one is a little bit on an angle? Why not? And my lines are still very thin and sketchy. We don't need solid lines here. All right, so I've got some thick ones there. Let's get a few branches on some of these guys. Just going for like thicker branches for now. We can add thinner branches a little later. What if we have something on an angle over here? Could be. And we can have thinner ones. And have them go all the way to the bottom, or almost all the way to the bottom. There is going to be grass. Let's see, I need something between his legs here. Some kind of tree. Come up maybe here. They can crisscross each other for sure. Yeah, don't be worried about maybe, branch comes over here and then crosses over that. That's fine. Where else? Maybe something here. That's pretty good. There will be more opportunities to add more branching. So don't worry about maybe there's a gap here. We will be adding more branches later. This is just the main big white trunks, the main ones, big ones. Looks pretty good. I'm satisfied with that sketch. Give your little baby brush a little rinse. Of course, if you want to work on your sketch a little more, hit pause and then take as much time as you need. We are going to do the background first. If, say, a little bit of our background colors get onto our animals, that's okay, because when we paint the animals, we'll cover up those little boo-boos. So don't worry too much about that. So I'm going to fill in my background, my sky, light gray, but sub in whatever color you want to do instead. Even like a nice foresty green would make sense, because if it's a very dense forest, a green background would be amazing. I'm going to use my medium brush. You could use your big brush, whatever works for the scale that you're doing. And I might, like if there's a teeny tiny area I need to get into, I might switch to my tiny brush too. You be the judge of what brush is best. So I'm going to go with still that light gray. Light gray. Add little bits of black at a time to your white so you don't make your gray too dark too fast. So this is going in the negative space. We're not painting on the trees we just painted. We're painting around them, the sky. We are also going to paint our trees white because we don't just leave the naked canvas, but we will paint those white. There's a big section, light gray, any shade of gray. I mean, this shade isn't even the same as my original. So we have a question about adding heads to our raccoon and skunk. I wouldn't add whole heads. With mine, my tails kind of cover up where any head would be. If your tail is, say, a little bit thinner, or your tail is maybe in a different position, maybe your tail goes down, and your tail's going down like this, I would add maybe the hint of a tiny little top of the head, like a little less than half a circle, and then little ears. Like tiny little ears would be all I would add personally. If you wanted to add more of a bigger head sticking up with ears, that'd be okay. I'm not sure what a skunk's ears really look like. I haven't looked that closely. I mean, you see the black and the white and you just take off. Do skunks have pointy ears? Do they have rounded ears? And raccoons, I think raccoons' ears are more pointed. But I suppose you could look at some Google images of these animals. So just filling in the negative space. And yeah, I'll go kind of mostly to the bottom, but I know that the bottom's going to be grass, so I might just kind of go there. That's as far as I'm going. All right, let's get here. Let's say you forget like what's tree and what's background, and you can't really tell. Just invent it. Just make it up. You're like, oh, this is now tree, or oh, this is now background. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Is that tree and that's background? Yes. Yeah, gray I think is a nice neutral background. Green would be very nice and make your forest seem alive. Maybe it's more like a summertime painting. Ooh, you know what I was thinking? It doesn't have to be grass. It doesn't have to be grass. What if you want to do snow? White and with a little touch of blue, snow on the bottom. That would work. That would be lovely. And then you could do like dots of white snow falling. So all of my gray paint here, I've been applying it in a nice, thin, even coat. Nice, thin, even coat. We don't really want thick, globby paint. If we have thick globs, it will take longer to dry. You'll have bumps on your painting. It's not always the worst, but I'm more about the drying time. We do want to add white on our trees, and if it's right next to like very wet gray, I mean, there's lots of gray on birch trees anyway. Yeah, so even if some of your background is on your tree trunk a little bit, that's okay. Your deer head isn't turning out right. Okay. we're trying to go for like a very simplified deer head shape. Don't overthink it. Maybe you could start with an oval here, and then add kind of a long, what was that? Elongated oval, sausage shape. Yeah, don't overthink it. And also look at your drawing from a distance. Look at it from a distance. If you keep drawing it up close and you're criticizing yourself from up close, you don't see what the viewer sees. The viewer is seeing it from over there. They come into a room, bam, they see a painting. They're not looking at it from like 6 inches away immediately. Yeah, don't be too hard on yourself on your sketch there. And filling it in. This is kind of the tedious, boring part of filling in the sky. Exciting stuff is yet to come. Where is it? Right here. You can paint the edges, like the edge, if you want. I usually don't. I just have kind of the unfinished edge look myself. Oh, things are falling off. Maybe you are working on a smaller painting and maybe your background is already filled in with gray. Maybe you're ahead of me. If that's the case, you can start painting your birch trees white, just plain old white. That will be the next step. Yeah, some of my birch trees are a little bit like wibbly wobbly. That's fine. We're going to straighten those out with the white paint. All right, keep going. Keep going. So I'm thinking that the next installment in the Butts series will be probably in January. If you have any suggestions for a Butts idea for January, let me know in the comments, in the chat. Let me know maybe on Facebook your ideas for Butts in January. So we've done safari, which was elephant, zebra, and hippo. And then we did barnyard, which was llama, cow, and pig. And now we've got skunk, raccoon, deer. What are we missing in the Butts series? I won't do human butts. That'd be weird. What sort of animal theme? I think it would be difficult to do ocean butts because it's mostly like fins and tails. So I don't know if ocean butts would be if that would make sense. So maybe not ocean butts. Snowman butts. Wouldn't that just be like a round white circle? Oh, more birds, yeah. We did do the barn animals. If you haven't seen that one yet, it is on our YouTube channel, already posted in its entirety, so you can watch the barnyard butts. There we go. So my gray is, oh, no, missed this part. Right in there. Oh, and this part, silly. Make sure you have all your shapes filled in. There we go. And yeah, I mean, there's parts that seem lighter or darker gray than other parts. That's fine. Yeah, especially if you had to like mix more gray partway through. If it's a little bit darker or lighter, that's all right. No one's gonna really notice that. Where else? Oh, maybe a little bit up here. Oh, the skunk seems to have gotten taller. I'll put some high grass over there. He seems very tall now. And I'll add some more grass there. Just looking. Okay. Give that a good rinse. So I'm ready to do my white birch trees. If you're not quite ready, just hit pause. Tamara is lost. Tamara, you're able to put the playback back. So at the bottom of the screen, you could go back to an early portion and see how we got to where we are at now. All right, so I just have white, just plain old white, and I'll start to fill in my birch trees. I'll straighten some of them out a little bit if they're a little bit wibbly. If a little bit of the gray of the background gets into the birch tree a little bit, that's fine. That's fine. Lots of birch trees have gray on them. Again, you could do brown tree trunks if you don't want to do the white with the black. Different shades of brown, even grays, shades of grays. There we go. So we are going to paint all of the birch trees white. We don't leave naked canvas. Where does this one go? Yeah, it goes down here. Yeah, if you need to invent some more tree trunks in the process, go for it. And again, I'm doing like a thin, even coat. No thick globby paint. We want this to dry in the next few minutes so we can add some lovely black details. So thin, even coat works best for quick dry. I don't know if you can tell the difference between, so these have been painted white versus these haven't. So these, they're a little more tidy. They're a little bit more vibrant white than just like the white of the canvas. And some of my paint, again, is, you know, accidentally going onto my animal sketch. That's fine, because that's going to get covered up when I do the tail of the deer. Where does that one go? This one. All right, so we've got octopus butts. That's funny. Ooh, pet butts, dog, cat, bunny. That's a good idea, Nancy. Deer head, yeah. Again, you can just not do the deer head. You don't have to have the deer head. That could be just not in the shot. Just erase it completely. Erase the deer head. What else? Farm animal butts. Yeah, we've done the farm animal butts. We did that in, I want to say, either late August or early September. I have the examples here. Let me put that down. Ooh. So we did safari butts in this past summer. So if you like the look of that one, you could do that one later this weekend. Video is already posted. And then this is the farm. This is the barnyard butts that we did. Again, probably late August is when we did that one, I think. Farm butts has been done. So we're on the third installment, Woodland butts. Jess is painting this for her great niece and nephew. Oh, or great niece or nephew. Cute. Very cute. Chicken butts. Ooh, that'd be very fluffy. Chicken butts. I like the pet butt idea because there's so many pets to choose from. Standard cat and dog makes sense, but then there's so many other pets out there. What would we choose? Okay, I'm almost done with my white trunks. And again, these are the big main trunks. We're going to add more branches, thinner trunks, really fill in this woods. I think this one's missing the bottom. So I've got the top of the tree, but then I missed, it doesn't have a bottom. I'm going to paint that in. That looks good. So that's all my big main trunks in white, but we can add even more. So my gray is mostly dry. Even if my gray was like a little bit wet, that'd be okay. Let's add a few more like thinner trees. So over here I could just swoop in and just add a nice thin tree there. This one here. anywhere at all, any angle. You want to fill it in a little, make it more woodsy. All the way down. What are you doing here? All the way. Where else? Where else? Maybe over here. Anywhere you have like a gap, throw one in there. Here. And yeah, follow it all the way down. So this one would go through the deer and then maybe through here. Maybe it attaches to this tree. Like a whole jumble, a jumble of trunks and sticks and branches, and you don't know what's what, who belongs to where. Maybe this one goes like this. Maybe it attaches to there. Okay, maybe some of these thin ones we just added, maybe they have branches on them. So maybe I'll add something like that going up. I like to think about the letter Y. The letter Y when I'm making branches on trees. So, you know, you have this stick here. Let's turn that into a letter Y by adding a stick over here. So this is the letter Y. Here's a letter Y. Here's a letter Y. It could be lower down. Here's a letter Y right here. Maybe there's a hint of something in there. Maybe a branch coming off here. There's crisscrossing, different thicknesses. We have a real thick one. Or another thick one. Let's do another thick one right here. Why not? And mine are sort of straight-ish. You can definitely give it more character with some like kind of crazy, wiggly ones. They don't all have to be straight sticks. You could be using your thin brush. I'm still using my medium brush. Because it's a flat brush, I can turn it onto its skinny side and make thin lines. But if you want to use your thinner brush, throw in a few more branches, which I might do in a moment. Let's see here. Where else? Any big places that need just a little something, a little stick. Let's get something lower. That's good. Okay, I might use my little thin brush and make wispy lines, wispy sticks wherever I want them. Crisscrossing other sticks. Any amount. I think, yeah, this one will probably have more than this one, just because I'm having fun making these. I just don't want to stop. So don't worry that, you know, if you're thinking you're going to have to outline like everything in this forest, we're not. I'm not going to outline everything. That would be too many sticks to outline. Just the main ones is what we're going to do. Do I want more than this? I mean, I could have some wispy things. Wispy things lower down. That looks good. That looks like the right amount for me. In your world, you decide what's the right amount for you. So it could be more, could be less, could be more wiggly, more straight. Tamara asks about the other paint classes. Used to navigation of YouTube. So somewhere on this page that you're looking at should be the artist palette Durham region, like our name. You could click on that name and then it'll bring you to our page and you'll see a whole bunch of videos that we've already got posted. And then you can scroll through all those and pick the ones you want. Or if you're on maybe the home page of YouTube and the search bar is at the top, just type in Artists Palette Durham Region and that'll bring up our page. Good question. All right, let's have a little closer look here. Thin ones, thick ones, straight ones, wiggly ones, crisscrossing, any amount, any direction. All white. I mean, some are very sketchy. Some look a little grayish. All good things. Extra depth. All right, I'm going to move right along into my black details of my trees. We have to get all of our tree finished before we do our animals. So I'm going to mostly use my thin brush for these black birch details. And I'm just going to use black, just plain old black. I like to wet my brush, get some black on there. So my biggest, thickest tree trunks is where we're going to do our birchy details. So very thin, wispy ones, we could just leave them plain white. So yeah, so here's a nice big thick one on this side that we can start with. I do very loose, sketchy lines down the side, not solid, they don't have to be straight. Sometimes I'm not even fully on the tree, maybe I'm on the background a little bit. Just very wispy lines coming down the sides of that tree in particular. And then we want some kind of horizontal, messy lines. So there's not a lot of paint on my brush, and I'm just kind of dragging. Sometimes I'm pressing and do a drag. Light wisps. If your paint is still a little bit wet and it's turning a little bit gray, that's fine. There could even be like blobs. Like it could be just like a blob of black. Doesn't have to be a line. And then birch trees, if we're going for slight realism, birch trees are a little bit more messy, spotty, blackened near the bottoms. So if you want to go a little heavier at the bottoms with smudges and lines and blobs. And then yeah, so this big main branch coming off the side will get the same kind of treatment because he's kind of a biggie. And then he kind of has a little branchy friend this way, so we'll give him the same treatment. Messy, sketchy outline. Yeah, you can see I didn't even put my black right along the edge. I put a little bit in. That's how carefree, casual I'm filling this in. Just whatever happens, happens. Barb suggested garden gnome butts. Ooh, I like it. Yeah, and then you would have like their gnome hats showing beyond the butts. Interesting. Dogs, yeah, corgi would be adorable. good idea with the corgi. Maybe just like a series of just corgi, just solid corgi butts as far as the eye can see. All right, so there's my first one. Yours could have more lines on it than mine or less. And just continue doing that with all of your main big thick ones. And sort of their main thicker branches. Don't worry about thin stuff. That one continues down the bottom. Now, just don't think about it too much. Just let your hand kind of relax. My bristles are barely touching the canvas. And if you really want to lose control, hold your paintbrush further back. If you choke up on your paintbrush, you have more control. Steady your hand. But if you want it to be truly random, put your hand way back, and then just kind of wiggle it, smudge, smear, drag, push from way back. That might get you some very random, fun results, good effects. What if you want to intentionally put some gray in here too? You don't have to just do black. Put a little medium gray in here too. Some blobs, some lines, some dashes, some outlines. So we're about an hour into it. After you've done your birch or whatever trees you're doing, you could take a little break. You could pause the video, grab a little drink, have a bathroom break, stretch your legs, and then you are able to press play, hit play on the video, and then continue on. Okay, this one we do this way. in the zone. I'm just zoned out. My hand is just kind of painting it for me. You don't really have to think about it. It just does it. Are you finding that holding it further back is helping you kind of give up some of that control? And you could apply that for other things too. Like let's say you want to do leaves, but you want to do the leaves in a kind of a random manner. Just hold your paintbrush further back. And then that'll help you loosen up. Which one next? Maybe this last one over here. You could paint a little, like a little home for a bird, like a little hole. Use a little woodpecker hole right here. Could be. Okay, where else would I like some birchy detail? I think I did pretty good. Yeah, again, you could pick it up, hold it away from you, away from your body, arm's length. Do you need more darker patches on certain trees to balance out other trees? That's pretty good. More thin lines on certain trees, more thick lines. Doesn't even have to be a line. It could be just like a smudge like that. I could just jab at it. Smudge. Will it make a shape? Well, does it on its own? Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with the amount of birchiness I have. Thank you, Tamara. Oh, you can cuss while you're painting. That's fine. I mean, I shouldn't. But you can. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, an hour into it and we haven't painted any actual butts yet. We need to paint some butts. Yeah, so if you do want to take a little break, painting break, bathroom break, go ahead and pause and then rejoin us. We'll get started on the actual butts. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have done different animals than I've done, but if you're doing these animals, mix the same colors. Let's say you're doing a red fox. I mean, it's very similar to kind of like this browny orangey color I used for the deer. So you could do that for your fox, or you could use just like straight red if you want like a really red fox. What other animals do I suggest? Like a grizzly bear, make a nice rich brown. What other animals would be good? Bunny. Bunny would be like a brown or a gray. What else is in the forest? Moose. Maybe you did a moose. Derriere instead. Yeah, let's start with the deer. He's the biggest. So if you have a tube or a bottle of brown at home that you'd like to use, go ahead and do that. I'm going to make a brown, which isn't always the easiest, but we're gonna coach you through one or two ways to make a brown. So a couple of ways to make a brown. Green plus red would make brown. I'm going to do the orange plus a little black method personally. So I'm going to make some orange. If you already have orange, you're already a step ahead of me. I've got a little red. I'll mix it with yellow. Red and yellow is orange. Orange, you can make it a little bit orangier with a little more red. But yeah, less red than the yellow. There's orange. And then to the orange, I'm going to add just a little bit of black. Use the black sparingly so it doesn't go too dark too quickly. So I'm going to grab a little dollop of a little bit of black. Mix that in. Mix. So with this orange plus black, it makes kind of like baby poop brown, if you know what I mean. Tamara. Oh, the very easiest? Ooh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what our very easiest painting would be. There is a wide variety. We do lots of landscapes, lots of kind of like cute characters and animals. Have a browse and see what you like. So here's kind of my baby poop brown, orange plus black. And if you like how it's looking, give it a little test. You can test it out, see if you like that color. Let's say you want it a little bit more, this one's a little reddish orangey-ish. So you can throw a little more red in there, mix it, see if you like it, add a little more yellow. You could add some white. Maybe you want your brown to be a little more pastel brown. I might grab a little smudge of white and mix that in. Some brown, a little white there. See if I like that better. That didn't really change it too much. That's not bad. That's not a bad color. If you didn't do that method, green plus red. So green would be a little blue plus yellow to make green, and then add some red to make brown. Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna go ahead and paint my deer brown. So legs, rear end, not the tail, also the head and the ear. So just don't get any on the tail and you'll be fine. There will be a black outline on the animals. You could skip the black outline. You don't have to do the black outline. So it's okay if your edges aren't perfectly crisp right now. They don't need to be because we are going to define it a little bit with that black edge. So if the edge is a little bit rough, jaggedy, maybe canvasy texture, that's okay. We will tidy it up with black. If you want to go for a more realistic look, you would probably skip the black outlines. I just like the black outlines. It gives it, yeah, it gives it a little cartoony feel, but it also really defines the shapes, really draws your eye in, really focus on the animals, the characters we're making. Knobby knees. And your brown deer texture, it's okay if there are visible brush strokes. Don't try to make a perfectly smooth deer. Deer fur has texture, so it helps with the illusion that this deer has fur. If there are little, lighter spots, darker spots, visible brush strokes are okay. Don't stress about making it 100% smooth. Yep, and the deer head and neck area and down to the deer snout area, all brown. Deer ear, deer ear. And a nice thin, even coat. So even though there might be some visible brush strokes, everything's smoothed out flat, no thick globbies. If you do see any thick globbies, just kind of pat them down, spread them out. No globbies. Ashley had some pecan pie and I'm super jealous. Sounds delicious. Later on today I'm going to make a chocolate pudding pie with mint chip on the top. I'm going to invent it. I'm not going with a recipe. I just bought some ingredients. I'm going to make like a chocolate mint chip pie. No bake, just the Cool Whip and pudding. It's going to be delicious. Delicious. We finished off the pumpkin cheesecake. Did we finish it off yesterday? Also no bake. I'm a big fan of no bake desserts. Pecan pie would be delicious right about now. All right, so there's my brown deer. Maybe I'll do my raccoon next. Raccoon, skunk, either or. Either or. So my raccoon's over there. Brownish, grayish, muddy color. So he's not as vibrant as this deer, this fawn here. So I've got some brown here. I've got some gray here. Why don't we try mixing brown and gray? See what we get. Brown plus gray. And we can adjust. We can add a little black. Add a little more black. What color would... Yeah, raccoons are browny gray. I don't know how to describe it other than brownish grayish. White. Really any color. If you have more experience being near raccoons and you know the true color of a raccoon. All right, let's do a little test here. A little test. See if you like the color. Yeah, I mean, it looks like brown and gray mushed together. If you prefer just like a straight gray raccoon or a straight brown raccoon, go for it. Go for it. This is your world. A little bit more. Let's see. Let me throw in a little more red in here, see what that does. Okay. Yeah, I mean, now my test patches are pretty much filling up my raccoon. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Brownish, grayish. There's a little red in there to warm it up. I'm going to paint his booty and his legs. I'm going around the tail. We'll do a gray and black tail. Again, a nice thin, even coat, no thick globs. Just smooth out the globs flat if you have globs. Spread them. Oh, and the legs. Legs. Legs there. There's going to be grass covering the feet. Yeah, it's a little darker than my original. That's okay. Oh, where did I get red from? Whoopsie. Scrape it off. There we go. Yeah, cute. Cute, cute, cute. The rings of the tail, I'm going to do black, gray, black, gray. So I need to make some more gray. A little black, a little white. Whatever shade of gray you think. And yeah, maybe I'll do, so this one might be black, then I'll do gray. Gray, black, gray. Black, gray. And then the tip of mine ends up being gray. Gray. Yeah, again, nice thin, even coat, no thick globs. That's a nice color. Yeah, it's slightly darker than, say, my sky, but even if it's the same color, that's fine. Okay, we'll do the black in a bit. Let's do, I mean, yeah, we've got to do the skunk now, so that involves black, so let's give that a rinse. Give that a rinse. Okay, good rinse. Let's do, I'm going to do the white part of the skunk's tail first, up the middle. Then we'll do the black and the black together. Do you want your skunk's tail to have, you know, a nice thick white stripe up the middle? Do you want it to have two white stripes? Do you want it to be like the skunk in my backyard where it's like mostly all white and then a little black? That happens. That happens, yeah, white and then maybe a little black in the middle. Any kind of skunk tail you want to do. So white paint, I mean, I'm painting white on white, so you can't really see the paint. I mean, you can see that I've kind of covered up some of that line a little bit. I'm just putting white up the middle. Follow the curve. White paint. And yeah, you can kind of give it like a bit of a texture by kind of flicking your brush. But it is white on white, so you really don't notice it too much. But it's there. White as much as you want or as little. Maybe if I catch the glare. Oh, a little glare. You can kind of see the glare of the white. Kind of. Good. And then while we have white on the brush, we might as well do the white in our tail of the deer. So again, it is white on white. I am kind of doing a little bit of a flicking, filling it in to maybe give it a little texture. And I will go a little bit onto my brown a little bit to give it some of those. Ooh, and a little of my brown is actually blending into my white. I'm not mad at that because the brown's still a little wet. Flick, flick, flick. Flick, flick, flick. Yeah, so the outer edge of my tail has a little bit of a furry look, furry fuzz texture because I'm flicking it outward. And it's all right if a little bit of your brown goes on your tail. In fact, I encourage it. It gives it more texture. You could even get into your brown a tiny bit, get a little bit of brown, and then purposefully add little flicks of brown. Look at that texture. Little flicks, flick, flick, flick. It is mostly white though, that deer tail. If it's turned like a lot brown, you can just get some more white and just kind of put some white back in there up the middle. That's pretty good. That's it for the white. Yeah, we got the white. The white. Let's give that a rinse. Black of the skunk, black of the raccoon. All right, straight black. I might add a little water to my black because it's starting to dry up. It's drying up as we paint. So yeah, both sides of the skunk's tail is black. And again, you could do little flicks outward to give your tail like a fuzzy look. You could also be using your small brush, your thin brush, to add little flicks. I think I might do that. Get my little brush. I'm going around my white of the tail, around there. If a little of the black and the white combine, that's fine. Get a shade of gray, that's okay. Make it as fuzzy as you want or as smooth as you want. Oh, that great texture. It looks fuzzy. That's great. And then with the bum, I'm just gonna do like a thin, even coat of black. Again. Smooth it all flat. Legs too. Little stumpy legs on him. There we go, thin, even coat. We will be adding some, even though he's like black, we're still going to add a little bit of white accents to him. Whereas the other ones we're going to add black. But he's already black. There we go. That's good. And then our rings need to be black. Rings of the tail. I love the kind of subdued color palette we have here with these natural colors versus the safari butts that I showed you earlier, which was just a riot of color. The contrast, riot of color, more subdued. Love it. Love the different color palettes here. Okay, there's my rings. Good, good, good. While I have black on the brush, I can do the hooves. I should be doing this with my small brush. What am I doing? They're looking quite chunky. That's okay. The grass is gonna kind of cover them up a little bit. Yeah, that's not even the same. Close, 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 close. What else would I like to do? My brown's pretty dry. If your brown is dry enough to rub, then you can add your deer spots. And yeah, mine is dry enough. I'm going to add my deer spots, and then we're going to do all of our black gestural lines to really give this some life, really make it pop. Yeah, it'll pop right off the page. It'll seem in the foreground. So what brush do I want to use? I might use my small brush for these deer spots. Yeah, so this is like a fawn, like a young deer, so he still has those little spotties on him. They could be just plain white. If you want to do just plain white, that's fine. If you want to mix a little bit of this color into your white, so it's a little bit off-white, would look good as well. I have a tiny bit of that, tiny bit with some white. Just a scooch off-white. Yeah, so kind of here, and then maybe a tiny little bit along just the very beginning of his neck. But just a few. Just a few. Less is more, I think, with these little spotties. And mine are, different shapes. They're not all, say, perfectly round. Truthfully, they're a little bit squarish. What else? A few more, not too many. Yeah, I think that seems like a good amount. And then I'll do just a few on the neck. Now, it might be tough to see your sketch where your leg is, where your neck is. You might be able to see some of your sketch through the paint, or just visualize it. So the leg would come down here and join to this knobby knee. So neck is over here. That's all I'm just going to do. I just did 4. Less is more. That's all we need. Good, 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 good. We're almost there. Outlines and then grass. Grass is last so that it's like right in the foreground. It's covering everything else. And it doesn't have to be grass either. Could be snow, could be dirt. You know, I'm going to use my thin brush for thin lines. I'm going to use black, and I like to water it down a bit. Get a couple loads of water, mix it in with some black, so that your paint is more fluid. It's going to just roll right off your brush as you drag your brush along. A little bit more fluid. So the skunk, we don't really need to add black outlines. He is black already. So let's move on to the deer. Outline the leg, knobby knees, neck, head, ear. I might wait a few minutes on the tail. It's still looking pretty wet there, but I know the brown of the fawn, the deer, is dry. And it's okay if there's thin parts of your lines, thick parts of your lines. Sometimes it helps to put your hand on the canvas to steady your hand, if that works for you, to have your canvas or your hand on the canvas as you drag along. Yeah, just do the best you can. And you may be thinking to yourself, Chris's lines are so thin, so straight. How does she do it? First, they are not all perfectly thin and straight. There's thick parts, there's thin parts. If you look up close, there's weird parts. But people aren't looking at your painting like this. They're looking at your painting from over here and they're thinking, wow, look how that pops off the page. And secondly, practice, 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 practice. How does she do it? Practice. Okay. Oh, my ear. I didn't do my ear. Okay, so I've got the rear end, legs, neck, ear, face outlined in black. This is, yeah, that's dry enough for me to add some lines to. But we want to give our tail texture. Jaggedy edges, texture. And these lines don't even have to connect. These black lines could be a little bit disconnected. Wispy. Yeah. Even more texture. That's good. We're not going to outline the spots. Don't worry about outlining the spots. And then occasionally throughout my deer, I have like an extra thin gestural line. Just give it a little shading, a little bit more 3D. So I'm thinking maybe our light source, we can just invent where our light source is. Maybe that's coming from the top left. So maybe there might be a little bit of extra line down the right of some things, just a little wisp. Maybe a little bit down here, maybe a little here. Barely anything, just a light little thin line. Maybe there's a little bit next to the tail here. Maybe a hint of something along the ear or the head. Couple random wispy lines. We will add white wispy lines as well. A little bit here to define the butt cheeks a little bit. We don't want it too defined. We don't want it to look like a human rear end. Okay, so that's the deer with the black lines. Let's do raccoon with the black lines as well. So again, outline, but if it's a messy outline, that's okay, because he has a shaggy, furry texture. And then we'll outline the tail and give the tail a little bit of fuzzy texture. You can kind of do short little brush strokes to mimic like a furry tail. Go up the one side, go up the other side. Little brush strokes. We're just fuzzing them up. Even like where the two colors meet, it could be kind of mussed up a little bit. Where the gray and black meet, you can kind of fuzz it up a little, jagged it up. Just messy, loose. Keep it loose. I'll outline the legs a little bit. And then same as the deer, just an occasional black line. Give it a little bit more texture, shading potentially. Maybe some right under the butt cheek. Keep it loose and messy. Good. The white, we're going to have little bits of white here and there, and that'll really make it pop. It'll seem like highlights glistening on their fur. Give that a good rinse. Get all the black out. We want white. Okay, white and then grass. We're almost done. Just plain old white on my brush, not a whole lot. I'll wipe your brush on your palette a little to get some of it off. So on my skunk, let's do the same kind of treatment in that we give him a few little wispy, textural sort of outlines, very light. Maybe a few near his tail. around the outside. Could be short ones, could be long ones. Give them a little bit of fuzz. That's it, just a few. And then maybe a little bit down the leg. Just a little bit. And then we'll do grass in a moment. Grass will cover that up like that. If I'm going too fast for you, just hit pause. Pause and rewind. All right, the deer, a couple little hints of white here and there. So if I'm thinking the light source is coming from the left, top left, maybe there's a little white kind of along the top left, maybe down the side of his leg a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit of white on his knobby knees. Just one little quick little streak. Maybe there's a little white here. Maybe there's a little white down his leg. Barely any paint. The most subtle. Maybe a little on his ear. Oh, the ear. Give a little streak on the ear. Maybe down the snout a little. It is very subtle, very minimal. I might add a little more white paint in his tail because I can sort of see the outline. See if I can't cover that up. I can still see my sketch. Cover that up with white. Even on this skunky tail, I can still see a little of the outline with a little white over top of it. Hide that a little bit. That's looking good. Okay, and then just a little bit of white. Barely anything on the raccoon, so I'm thinking a little white down the left of his tail. And I'm just going right over top of all the stripes. It's just a little wisp of white. And a little wisp of white maybe on his rear end, maybe a little here. Maybe down the left side of his legs. Just the left. But really, that's it. That's all I need to do there. Good. All right, we've been working with blacks, whites, browns, grays, very neutral, natural colors. Let's make green. Let's get vivid, beautiful green in here. Again, we could do snow, white snow, maybe a hint of gray, maybe a hint of blue in the snow if you want. Could be brown dirt. Let's do green. You can use your medium brush or your thin brush to make the grass. I might go thin brush. I've got yellow, I've got blue, just a little bit of blue with the yellow. Nice bright green. You don't need a ton of this. This is just along the bottom after all. So I'll probably start with this nice kind of bright lime color first. I might add a tiny bit of white in here. Let's see. Try adding a little white. Ooh, that's nice and vivid. And then we could add like slightly darker green as well. So we can have like 2 tones of green. That's nice green. So I like to pick it up because we're working on like the bottom edge. Or you could just flip the whole thing around and work top down. Flicking, flick. Definitely go on top of the deer hooves a little. Go on top of the tree trunks a little bit. On top of the raccoon's feet and the skunk's feet. Just flick. You can add a little water A little water in with your paint to make it more fluid. Flip, 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 flip. And we're going to add more green, so it's okay if there's gaps at this point. Thick ones, thin ones, long ones, short ones. They could be straight, they could be curvy. Any kind of grass blades. What if there's a couple of bent grass blades here too? What if there's some bushy tall grasses among the short grasses? Later on, you can add things to your painting that aren't necessarily in my painting. You could add birds. You could add bugs, flowers, rocks, falling leaves. If you're doing the snow, you could add snowflake, dots of snowflakes. There's so many things in the woods that you can add to jazz up your composition, make it your own, create your own little world. Okay, so that's a good amount of this kind of lighter green. Let's flip it over to look at it. Some good amount of green there. So then I'm going to make a darker green. So your instinct might be to add black to darken your green. We don't want to do that. That'll make it like a muddy gray green. We're going to add more blue. More blue to our green, and that will darken it. Any shade. It could be like a medium green. It could be a really rich emerald green. Let's see. Try it out. If it's still pretty close to your original color, darken it more. But if you're happy with it, go ahead. I'm going to add a little bit more. I want it really dark in contrast. I'm going to do it upside down. I like to do it upside down. I think it's easier to go flicking downward than flicking upward. Yeah, fill in the gaps. Have some tall ones and some short ones, some on an angle. Add a little bit of water. Make it more fluid. We could add other colors in here just besides green. You could throw some yellow in here. Throw some black or white in your grass. Some brown. Maybe it's a little bit crispy grass. It's going brown. Good. Let's see what I get. Oh, yeah, that's a nice grass. I just want to make sure I cover the feet of my skunk. Cover those bottoms of the tree trunks. Anything that's sort of like unfinished, cover it up with some grass blades, like the bottom of the tree trunk there, here. Do I want some yellow? Do I want some brown? Let's see what yellow does. I mean, yeah, if I add yellow, it does kind of turn to light green, kind of. But it gives it something nice and bright, some yellow. That's cute. What else could you add to this? What if you want to add a squirrel, but in a tree? You could do like a little squirrel on a branch, but with the tail. Would that be funny? A bird butt. A bug butt. I don't know how you would do the butt of a bug. What else could we add? Maybe a little, a bird house hanging from a branch. Flowers. You could do little like silhouettes of birds, just like gray silhouettes, black silhouettes of birds in the trees. Maybe you did like a sky blue and you want to have some sunbeams coming from a sun. You could paint a little sun and then have beams of sun radiating from the sun. Anything at all. I'm going to sign mine. I'm quite happy with how this is going. So ordinarily I would sign my paintings using a color that's already in my painting. So I wouldn't sign this in, say, bright pink. I'm going to sign mine in brown. Brown today, black, white, green. You could sign the back, sign the front, sign the edge. Sign the edge. Some people do the edge. You could do your whole name, your initials, which is what I'm doing. I love when kids put their age. That's fun. There's my, just the initials in the bottom corner. I mean, if an adult wants to put their age, Dad, age 35, would be hilarious. All right, let's see. Is there any questions I missed along the way? Yeah, lots of great suggestions for future butt paintings. I love the ideas. You've definitely got my gears turning for what I could do next. I think the most difficult one might be the octopus butts, if I'm honest. Yeah, I would love to see your versions of this painting. You could go to Facebook, go to our Facebook page, Artist Palette Durham Region Facebook page, find this event, and then post a picture there in the comments. We'd love to see it. You could tag us on Facebook. You could email us. We like a good email. You could direct message us. I just love to see some of these paintings, your versions. Did you do different animals? Did you do different colors? I just love to see other variations. I will show you my tip link. So the tip link is in the description of this video. If you've been enjoying the series of butt paintings I've been doing for free and you want to send me a little small tip, KristenArtist@hotmail.com is my email, or paypal.me/KristenArtist. I would really appreciate that if you have been enjoying some of these free ones that we put on. I can show you some more upcoming events that I have handy with me if you enjoy my style of teaching, if you enjoy my style of art. What do I have coming up? Oh, the next free one. Let's move this out of the way. My next free event is going to be a watercolor. So this is kind of a metallic and regular watercolor. We get some stippling involved there with the black pen. So this is my next free event. It's going to be Wednesday, December 8th, right here on YouTube Live. Please join me for that one. Watercolor and stippling. I just love that shine. And you don't have to have metallic watercolors. You could do that in just your regular watercolors. Okay, coming up on Zoom. So we have lots of free events. We also have a Zoom event. So you get a ticket at artistpaletedurham.com. Tickets are $10 and it includes the recording. So you get the full recording to keep forever. So coming up on Zoom, where is it? There it is. A happy seal, a little baby seal pup in acrylic. And I walk you through that one on Zoom, and then you also get the recording to keep. Yeah, so it's wintry without being holiday-y. That's a word. Something a little different and unique coming up on Zoom. Tickets on our website. We turn a regular birdhouse into this kind of 3D effect gingerbread house. We got drips. We got that lovely roof texture. So this one will be on Zoom. You can use any style of birdhouse. It doesn't have to be this kind of double decker that I found at the dollar store. It could be bigger, smaller. We're going to use hot glue. So if you're thinking for like kids to do this, you probably will have to supervise them, help them with the hot glue. Hot glue and paint on a birdhouse. Any style of birdhouse you can find at the dollar store or at craft stores. So Tamara asked, how do we find all these happenings? So we have a website, artistpaletedurham.com, or on our Facebook page, Artist Palette Durham Region on Facebook. And that lists, on the Facebook page, we'll list all the free events and all the paid events. Let me show you one more paid event, and then I'll tease you an event that I don't think we've actually posted as well. So this one has been posted. It's Watercolor Partridge in a Pear Tree. This one will be on Zoom, paid event on Zoom, December 23rd, so just before Christmas. Watercolor Partridge in a Pear Tree. And then I'll tease you this painting. I don't think we've even posted this yet, or maybe just. Celebrate Good Times Llama. This will be just before New Year's. I believe we're going to do this on December 30th, and this one will be on Zoom. Celebrate Good Times Llama. I just love his little lips grabbing that champagne glass and he's dribbling it out a little bit. Yeah, so yeah, we do have lots of free events that we put on for you guys. We love for you to keep doing free events. We will continue to offer those at least once a week. But if you want to support us with buying a ticket to a future event, that helps support us, and we will continue to do lots of free ones plus our paid ones. Or just a little tip once in a while is okay with us too. Do you have any questions at all? Throw them in the comments right now before we end this live feed. You're welcome, Tamara. Yeah, any questions about this painting, other paintings, watercolors, acrylics? We also have macrame events. We have pencil drawing events, pencil crayon. We have painting on ornaments, painting on wine bottles, all kinds of different stuff coming up. Lots of great holiday stuff coming up in our December schedule. That'll come out soon. I don't see any questions rolling in yet. Nothing? I've explained it all already. Nope, no questions. All right. Yeah, if you do have any questions you think of later, feel free to message us. Tag us. All right, it's been a real pleasure. I look forward to seeing some of your paintings posted online soon. Take care, everybody. Happy painting. Bye now.